It's Sunday, August 16th, 2020. This is All About Your Benjamins and your weekly mixtape and week in review video. Hey, let's get right to it. The headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan and portfolio. And before we get to anything that is really economic centric or market centric, I wanted to talk about the first article you're going to see from the Wall Street Journal. It's basically talking about the rise in adults considering suicide. So a lot of things going on. Obviously, we talked about over the last couple of months with the shutdown of the economy, people losing their jobs, struggling financially. But according to a survey of the CDC, the amount of adults considering suicide is more than double over the last year. So I believe the percent at 11% of adults surveyed had considered suicide in the last few months. I only bring this up because you never know how anybody's doing. So if you have people out there you haven't talked to for a while just because you haven't been in work or just not as social, being that you're staying home, reach out to those people that you care about. Send them a text, send them a message, and just ask how they're doing. Don't forget people during this time. On the surface level, you may think they're doing okay, but you never know. I have friends who battle mental health issues, and it's a real deal. So we're seeing the numbers there. We've seen it just in life in general, but it's worse now for a lot of people. So just check in on people, make sure they're doing okay. Sometimes the stressor is money related and things we talk about, but other times it's not. So I wanted to lead off with that. I thought about ending with that, but I was afraid that you might not make it this far into the video. I know everybody doesn't watch the video to the end, and just wanted to put that out there. Reach out to your loved ones, reach out to your friends, reach out to acquaintances, and just see how they're doing. You never know. That text might come at the right time to get their mind back on the right way. So reach out to your friends. Let's get to the economy and the markets and things of that sort. Real quick, a couple pieces of data. The markets kind of did a bit of not much this week, kind of flattening out. Not a lot up, not a lot down, just basically kind of there through the week with a lot of things going on. Retail sales were up, but then we also had unemployment numbers dropping down. So some good news from the economics. You're going to see that there. You're also going to see some conflicting headlines, which is why all of this stuff can sometimes be difficult. One of the headlines talks about retail sales up 1.2%, which takes us above pre-COVID numbers. So it shows that the retail markets are getting stronger. But then you see that the stocks wavered this week and kind of puttered along because retail sales growth slowed. So we've got it up, but it's slowing. So is it good or bad? That's why this is so confusing sometimes and so hard. And that's why we don't want to take headlines for just what they say they are. We've got to look further on and also not make our decisions based off a headline. So I used to do a series where I would read a headline from the beginning of the week and one from the end of the week, and they'd be completely different moods, but yet the same week, and just a few things change. Partially also what the media wants to do as far as clicks. So just to recap on it, unemployment is down below a million. I think it was 963,000 people claimed unemployment last week. Still very high numbers, but we're seeing that trend go down, which is a good thing. Retail sales is up back to pre-crisis, pre-COVID levels, but it's rising at a slower rate, which the markets are uncertain of. So kind of a little bit of confusion out there if we look at the headlines alone. Again, that's why we talk about these every week, to have an understanding of what's going on, kind of know what's going on, but then also not put too much weight behind headlines week to week, because we're investing for the long term and we have financial plans helping us go where we're going. But I want you to understand what you're hearing out there. The other big piece of news this week was Joe Biden picked Kamala Harris as his vice president running mate. So we now know that. That's about as deep as I'm going to get into politics, because I'm not a big fan of politics. But that is a big headline. Now we know what the battle is going to be come November, and it'll probably start to get ugly here pretty soon when it comes to campaigning and getting ready for the election in November. Also, another thing to talk about, nothing major, but I wanted to just clarify. We had Apple last week have a 4-to-1 reverse split, or a 4-to-1 split of their stock. And then this week Tesla came out and did a 5-to-1. So basically you're going to get you'll have 5 shares for every one that you have today. So if you own a share of Tesla, you get 4 more shares to give you your 5 shares. Is this a good thing? What does this mean? There's lots of theories behind it. On the surface level, it doesn't change the value of the stock. Think if you had a $100 bill and I gave you 5 20s, you still have $100. You just have 5 20s now. That's basically what this stock split is doing. But there are other reasons behind it. The one theory is maybe Tesla's trying to get into the Dow. So the Dow Jones is our index that we know. You hear it quoted on the news. It's price weighted. So what that means is the moves of the Dow are impacted more heavily by stocks that have the highest price. So to get included in that, they don't want to have a stock that's $1,300 or $1,400 because that would sway the index way too much. This is what Apple did a number of years ago to get into the index as well. They did a 7-to-1 split, I believe, to bring their price back down to be able to include it in the index. So that's one theory. Another theory is just engineering the price. A lot of people would love to buy Tesla, but they can't because it's $1,300, $1,400 a share, whatever it may be. So now that it comes down, it's more affordable. Again, this is just really numbers and shifting things around and moving commas around, but it psychologically lets people get into it. I think that this will be less of a reason for splits in the future because there's technology that allows you to buy partial shares called fractional shares of a stock. So technically you could buy 3/4 of a share of Tesla today if you have the right custodian to be able to go do that. As that technology becomes more prevalent, there's nothing going to hold you back from buying $300 of Tesla no matter what the price is. So again, not a recommendation for Tesla, not a recommendation for Apple. Should you go buy this before the stock split, talk to your financial advisor. I think the reason to invest in a stock should not be because they're going to be splitting, but more because of you believe in the thesis, you believe in the company, or you have another thesis for it, but not just because the price is going to be split and there's going to be more shares available. And then the final, and maybe, just maybe the biggest piece of news this week, Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite. So if you have kids, you probably know about Fortnite. Either they play them or they do the dances. Epic Games was banned or kicked off of Apple and Google's storefront. So you can no longer play Fortnite on your Apple devices, and then if you have a Google device, either. So luckily the boys have a PlayStation and Xbox, so they're still able to play their favorite game. But this was a big deal to them. They were nervous it's going to get kicked off. And if your child plays the game on Apple devices, they're not going to be able to play right now. And the main reason for it is Epic was trying to get around the 30% fee that Apple charges on the App Store. They don't do it for every business. They do it for some businesses. Certain types of businesses, I think restaurants, aren't subject to the same fee, but the games are. So basically what Epic did is to allow people to buy their V-Bucks, and that's a whole other conversation, but they're dollars for inside of the game. You could buy it on Apple for $9.99 for 100 V-Bucks, let's say, or you could go directly to Epic and buy the same 100 for $7.99, circumventing Apple, saving Epic money even though they were charging less. Apple didn't like that. I'm sure it's a violation of the terms. They kicked them off. So there's 1 billion devices out there that can no longer play Fortnite, which is one of the most popular games right now. So a little bit of light news at the very end, but if you have kids, there was a big deal for your household, especially if they're playing mobile on Apple devices or Google devices. So we'll see what happens. I assured my boys they would be okay, and this will probably be short-lived, and I think that their devices are protected. But again, it was a big deal in our household for a moment. And that's it for this week's headlines. So I hope you're having a great week. We've been at the soccer fields today on Saturday. I'll be back out there tomorrow morning on Sunday. You're going to be watching this on Sunday, so 2 days of soccer for me. Beautiful weather here in Indiana, so hope you're enjoying the end of your summer. Hopefully back to school is going well. Virtual learning, we're 1 week through a full week. We had some tears, we had some successes. I think that'll be a continuation. If you are having kids in virtual learning or you were a teacher, let's just give each side a little bit of grace. Parents, give the teachers grace as they figure this out. Teachers, give parents and students grace as they figure out how to navigate this as well, because you've got working parents trying to balance working from home, kids in school, toddlers running around. That's the story of our house. So just give each other grace. We'll get through this, and at the end of the day, the kids will be okay getting through this, and they'll be back in school before long, hopefully. So that's it. Be sure to check out the mixtape articles down below. If you're watching this on YouTube or Instagram TV, head on over to allaboutyourbenjamins.com for all of those mixtape articles and the links to the articles we discussed in today's Week in Review. Thanks for watching as always, and if you have not yet, go ahead and subscribe to this station. I've told you many times, but we're going to be driving up the content coming out of RLS Wealth, whether that be on All About Your Benjamins or through Thomas' blog, The Long Game. We're going to be putting out more content, so be sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. Have a great week, and we'll see you all in the next episode.